I play with girl toys and boy toys. I don't really care which one is meant for boys or for girls. I just play with them. They're toys.
I think gender identity is not what you're born with, but what you are, like who you choose to be.
5 years ago, I think I was like very insecure. I was just like really small for my age and like really closeted.
I don't think of people any differently just because like they're LGBTQ. You shouldn't think of people differently just because of who they decide that they like.
It doesn't matter what they think. It just matters what like I think and how I imagine myself.
It's important for you to be yourself, because if you're not yourself, then who are you?
Girls are more bossy sometimes, right, Liam? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm a feminist.
Will you describe the person in this photo?
He's running with really strong arms.
Now, how would you describe this person?
She looks like really confident.
What would happen if I told you that they're the same person?
They are.
How can a boy turn into a girl? That's impossible.
What if this were happening to me? What if I was the one who was going through this?
Who she wants to be is who she should be.
There's this sort of thing which happens a lot where you're sort of like presumed straight until otherwise proven.
You can't just say like, oh, I like to wear heels, so I define myself as a woman, or I don't cry, so I define myself as a man. It's so much more than that.
I don't really feel like the opposite gender that I am. I feel like I am a boy, but that's just me.
Manly means to not cry, not be a sissy.
I identify as male, and the pronouns I prefer are he, him.
Right now, I think I identify as male. I'm still kind of figuring it out. Yeah, but right now I use he, him pronouns.
I like drawing and I like birds and flowers.
I'm gender neutral and I use they, them pronouns.
What do you do if you're agender and you're going to like the bathroom? Which one would you go to?
Just whichever one has a shorter line.
Probably coming to the end of last school year, I went into discovering my own gender. As of probably like this summer, I feel like a lot more confident. Just kind of like felt really weird about myself and felt like I didn't look like a lot of people I knew, or like dressed like a lot of people I knew. I have some pretty specific memories of like questioning my gender when I was younger. I remember I was like hanging out with my brother and his friends, and then I left and I was alone and I was like, well, maybe I'm a boy. And like then I suppressed that because I was like, nope, like that's not happening. Later I sort of decided like, well, I'm not a boy, but I'm also not a girl. That was a really important step for me to take because I had been suppressing feelings of like queer gender identity for a really long time. And then I changed my name to fit my gender and to make me feel more like connected with my name, because I really didn't feel connected with my old name. My friends especially immediately started using the right pronouns and correcting themselves if they used the wrong ones, as well as like using the right name as soon as I told them that that's the name I was comfortable with.
I think that it's more nerve-wracking to come out to your parents because with friends, it's your own generation, and I think that everyone understands you a little bit more and understands the current norms and what you're going through in a way that like an older generation wouldn't. My grandmother, I just had to explain to her what bisexual was, like literally 2 months ago, and her reaction was like, oh, they must be so confused.
Maybe they're just like a little overwhelmed and they're like, oh my gosh, this person is taking such a big step in life and they don't understand what it feels like to just be who you want to be.
I think it'll always be easier for someone the same age as the person to relate to them because their parents grew up in a different generation, and this will pretty much always happen, like with our generation's kids and on, is there'll be these new things that the parents can't as easily understand.
I had one friend who said that their mom like wouldn't call them by like a name that they had decided they wanted to be called from then on, and wouldn't refer to them as their pronouns, which I think was really hard for them to deal with.
I have one friend who is still kind of in the closet because her parents are homophobic. I have a lot of friends who are like, yeah, no, if I was ever a part of the LGBTQ community, I wouldn't come out because my parents say generally like obnoxious and rude comments. LGBT, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, there's way too many letters. I can't even keep up with them anymore. And it just makes it a hard environment for kids to come out in.
I think they're just scared of change, and I think they just want everything to stay the same because they just don't know how to handle it.
A lot of the time, parents don't really understand what their child is going through, and they have this image of what their child is because they're this person who you've been bringing up and you think you know them, and they tell you something which you just didn't know and you didn't understand that part of them. I guess it can be hard to kind of comprehend what's actually going through their head.
And I think that originally a sexual orientation was literally you are attracted to someone who is sexually male, but what about now where you have someone who might be sexually male but they identify as a woman? What does that mean?
I definitely think that the ideas behind sexual orientation have changed in the last 5 years. I think that people are a little more accepting of the different ideas that a person has. I think it's more open than it used to be. There's kind of options you're either this, you're this, you're this. I feel like now people are more accepting of being you and being who you are rather than fitting into these certain placements of who people think you should be.
With our generation, there's a lot more fluidity, and I think sometimes parents want the clear, definite answer to stuff, and sometimes you're just not gonna get that.